Broadcasting from the LoadingReadyRun orbiting underground moon base, it's the LRRcast.
Hey, it's the LRRcast.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I haven't done one of these with this headset yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No, this is the first one.
Freaking me out, man. I just did a tap, and I was really into the whole coughing directly into it, and also, like, grappling with it anytime I needed to, like,
That's
cough.
pretty sweet. I mean, we should just put, like, a little mute switch between these things so you can actually do that.
So you can mute yourself?
So you can actually mute yourself and be like, I'm going to sneeze or cough. Because it's really hard to get away from this mic. It's like, oh, God, it's just right there.
Yeah.
we were, when we put this on, we were experimenting with, like, because, you know, for the regular mics, you seem we've got, like, the pop shield.
Right, yeah.
And so we were like, this is, because it's so close to your mouth, is popping going to be a problem. And we found it's pretty much, you know, as long as it's sort of off to the side, it's pretty much okay, unless you're talking, like...
Talking right.
Giving it the credit hand.
Yeah, unless you're talking real sideways, you're like, So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I mean, hopefully, this set looks sweet. We're a couple of episodes in, and it looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now we have headsets and all sorts of stuff. So what better way to celebrate all of this new stuff than to go back to all the old crap? We're going to do an AskLRR today.
Yay!
So we made the conscious decision at the beginning of the year to sort of shift focus of the LRRcast and make it more of a discussion, like pick a topic and then sort of use that as a jumping off point to discuss stuff.
Right.
And I think it's been going really well. I know that all of us here personally have, I think, been enjoying it more. I think everybody was getting kind of burnt out on the constant, just week after week questions and questions and questions and questions. And
what more do you want to know?
So we haven't actually done a proper AskLRR for probably close to like 6 months, 5 or 6 months. So we thought, hey, let's just do an AskLRR. And we didn't think that because we couldn't think of a topic. Not at all. Anyways, let's get asked questions. Blah.
Let's A your cues.
Is one of the questions, are you doing this because you can't come up with the topic?
I don't know. I haven't read them all yet, but I'm sure one of them probably.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, that is actually the case. All right, so we ask questions over on Twitter like we normally do, at LoadingReadyRun. If you aren't following us there, go do it. First question comes from Cole. At what point in your lives did you decide on your specific kind of comedy / when did you find you're funny? I'm still working on it. I mean, I guess our specific style of comedy.
That's certainly. That's not something that like you decide on. I don't think.
It's just sort of it happens because of what you enjoy, and what you let influence you. And
I mean, it took me a long time of doing LoadingReadyRun before I would even try to admit that I had a style of comedy.
Yeah,
right, and like it really makes you think about when your sense of humor begins to develop. I have a friend who. Many years ago said that she thought that our sense of humor, our generation's sense of humor, was largely formed by Muppet Show and Monty Python.
Yeah. I mean, I think the previous generation was also Monty Python.
Right, but like we had it from birth.
Right.
I mean,
those are certainly formative for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would argue that a lot of people our age probably weren't actually influenced fairly heavily by Monty Python, especially, I mean, all that sort of British humor. I feel like we're kind of the exception.
Maybe.
I feel like we are, because I know a lot of people...
I mean, the trick is that... The trick with Monty Python, though, of course, is that if you aren't influenced by Monty Python, you're influenced by somebody who's influenced by...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's the Beatles
effect.
Yeah, their influence goes many steps downwards, but... Yeah. I mean, I think there probably are some people who are comedians and stuff who aren't, or sketch comedies, people who, didn't grow up with that, but
grew up with other things that
those
were
people
directly,
are sad, lonely, disadvantaged people,
making like evolutionarily dead-ended comedy.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about the Muppet Show though. but when I think about it, it's probably true.
Yeah.
Muppet Show, it's pretty high up there. Although, I mean...
And it's weird, the Muppet Show, because the Muppet Show was like really old school, like almost like Catskills style. Like
very. Yeah.
It was deliberately almost sort of a throwback to the sort of vaudeville style stuff.
Right.
And they would, and if you watch episodes now, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff, obviously, and especially a lot of the stuff they did with celebrities and things was really great. But there's a lot of just really weird stuff.
Well, yeah, it's vaudeville humor as performed by puppets is like puppet acts have been around in comedy forever, I guess. But like the Muppets was way surreal.
Yeah, it definitely had that, and I guess it's the Python thing as well, is that there is that sort of that surreal aspect, which
I guess it's modern is what it is. It's a modernism thing.
So, but I mean, in terms of it's always the case. Like in terms of comedy, we produce. Obviously, you produce comedy that you find funny. So, the comedy that I enjoy and the comedy that I create are very closely tied together.
Yep.
And to the point where like I'll often be watching sometimes like I'll be watching like a sketch comedy show or just even like sketch comedy on the internet, and I'll be like, that's totally a joke we would have done.
Why didn't we do that?
Damn, they stole our idea before we had it.
Yeah.
Somehow they went into the future and came back.
We need an IP lawyer.
All right, next up. Chris says, what is your go-to order when you go to a coffee place like Starbucks or the Parsonage or whatever?
Generally, I like a small cappuccino, like a demi-tasse cappuccino with a pastry of some kind, like croissant, sometimes Danish. Very Parisian kind of thing. But it's nice to just be able to sit at a window with like cappuccino and something to eat and read a book. Not durdle around on the computer.
True story.
Yeah.
Paul?
It depends. It's different depending. Like most places, it'll usually be like a chai latte or a London fog or something of that kind. I don't really go in for like straight coffee, except for Starbucks. I usually get like iced mocha.
Right.
It's one thing. Look, I'm not here to say great things about Starbucks. But one thing Starbucks does better than most coffee places, especially better, and one thing they do better, especially better than most, like, I guess what you would call good coffee places, like, artisanal coffee places, is iced drinks.
Yeah.
The vast majority of coffee places do, these places that are very skilled at making coffee.
Yeah,
they make wonderful coffee, and then they put a bunch of ice cubes in it.
And they're like, there you go.
Right.
Whereas Starbucks has like a whole infrastructure surrounding their ice drinks.
Well, like, Serge made that joke, or made that comment the other day where he was like at Parsonage, you can't get a vanilla latte, right? Because the coffee they bring in because the coffee itself tastes good.
Right.
Right? And dumping syrup into it is not what they want to do to coffee that they have, like, curated and selected from like many other coffees.
They're like, let's put some ketchup in your coffee too. Do you want that?
Yeah. But yeah, Starbucks does that really well because their coffee is, from like a billion different places or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm usually into the latte type stuff.
Okay. I just normally, if I go to the Parsonage, it's just normally like a coffee. And then I'll just throw a tiny little bit of cream and sugar in there. And then Starbucks is almost always just a nice coffee. Because, again, Starbucks does those well. So, although I don't really drink that much coffee anymore.
Just go in and just be like, do you guys have coffee?
Yeah, exactly. Just regular.
Yeah.
Is that a thing that you do?
The other thing that I like doing at Starbucks are the black tea lemonades.
Ooh, yeah.
But I get them unsweetened.
Yeah,
they're actually like reasonably hard.
It's like a lot of things at Starbucks that aren't coffee are actually fine.
Totally great. Yeah, like their milkshakes or frappuccinos.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Lurk Dog asks, "What are some of your favorite fantasy/sci-fi settings?"
Well, we got to be careful because both Cam and I are here, and we can't get too far into talking about 40K.
No, yeah.
40K is definitely up there, though.
But it's definitely up there.
What army were you going to do when you tweeted at me the other day about 40K?
Oh, I don't know. I have an idea, though.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it. Don't
worry about
it. I was talking to you about this earlier.
Yeah.
That's part of the whole workaround was so that I can play 40K again.
I will legit play 40K with you.
40K is sweet. The universe, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I mean, like, I love Star Wars. I like that universe a lot. I mean, MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool universe. I like that a lot, actually.
MCU specifically, as opposed to just the regular comics.
Specifically
like Earth 4,
whatever.
Earth 163 or
whatever
it is.
MCU is. I don't have any vested interest in
616?
616.
Oh,
I
okay.
think. I don't really have any vested interest in the Marvel universes that exist within the comics, mainly just because I don't really know about them. But MCU, I think, is a really neat sort of setting for everything that they do.
Yeah.
I really like William Gibson's Sprawl
Ooh, yeah.
world, like the Sprawl trilogy, which was Neuromancer, Mona Lisa Overdrive, and Altamores Parties. Or not Altamores Parties. That was the Bridge trilogy. Neuromancer, Mona Lisa Overdrive was the third. The middle one was Count Zero. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a wonderful kind of like noir-ish. It was the archetypal cyberpunk setting of the unevenly distributed future.
I mean, I'm pretty much literally the
Yeah.
archetype. I mean, he pretty much invented it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's probably just a lot to do with Gibson's language. I like the culture a lot.
Yeah, the Ian M. Banks.
Yeah, Ian M. Banks' culture
Yeah.
series set in...
I really like that too.
Yeah, mainly because Banks deliberately set out to write a world that he wanted to live in. Or one that sounded pleasant to him.
Yeah, and it's like you never ever read a thing where it's like a utopian society. And it's basically a utopian society that would be really awesome to live in.
Yeah.
It's not like there's this horrible undercurrent going on.
Yeah, no,
It's
no.
like, no, it's actually, I mean, obviously they have challenges and things that they deal with.
Conflicts and like even the things that they can't resolve.
Yeah.
Right? And they make mistakes. But like when in his books, usually they deal with like secret agents and things, but they interact with just normal people in the culture. And people in the culture are like, I'll talk to you as soon as I'm done with this orgy and then the buffet. And then I think I might go sleep for like 16 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, yeah, my tomorrow's free. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go write a sonnet after that.
Is it Werner Vinge has
I've
made some,
never read
he writes some great sort of space opera stuff.
He did, Mia just read it. Something in the Deep.
Deepness in the Sky?
A Deepness in the Sky, which I really wanted to read.
Yeah, did really neat. I mean, the story is really cool because it's sort of comparing and contrasting these aliens that live on the planet versus these, people who have arrived.
Right.
But the world the universe that is created, there's like all this interesting stuff with like technology. Basically, technology works better in certain places. It's like as you get closer to the center of the galaxy,
Right.
technology works better, and as you get far, and so like it starts becoming easier and easier to make like AIs work properly, and all this kind of stuff. And then as you get farther and farther away, all your really awesome technology starts to fail, and things get worse and worse.
That's really
Interesting.
Which is sort of an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any other really standout settings? Not just stories, but the settings. I can't think of anything right now. Maybe we'll revisit that one later.
All right. Next up, Vector Zero is asking, how did the LRR crew meet your collaborators? Bradley Rains, Big Giant Circles, Cards Against Humanity, etc.
It's mostly through random happenstance, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually don't know how we got hooked up with Bradley.
Oh, Bradley's great. Bradley's the one he sent an insulting email to Graham.
That's right, yeah, because we were using Apple Loops.
Yeah,
right?
he sent an insulting email to Graham, and Graham sent kind of like a pithy thing back, and then he like responded and be like, "I'm so sorry, I was super drunk when I wrote
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then they started talking about stuff, and they
then
started doing.
the rest is kind of history.
And I mean, like the whole Synaptic Chaos crew, Beej and Ian and Heather and Corey.
Yep.
We met all them at the Calgary Comic Entertainment Expo.
Yep.
And we also hung out with them at Anime Evolution.
Yep.
And it was just one of those things where they were performing, and we're sort of in a related, even though we don't do improv normally, we were sort of in a related field. So we had a lot to talk about, and we just kind of hung out and found that we were very compatible in terms of personalities. And they happened to be moving over here, and we've sort of pulled their entire group over to Victoria.
We've absorbed Synaptic Chaos.
Pretty much all of them. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Big Giant Circles, Jimmy. I think
he just did.
Didn't he just do the Desert Bus remix one year, and then he's done it every year since.
He did. Yeah, he did Desert Bus remix, and then he offered up like a whole bunch of download codes for his CD for his stuff.
When he was about to launch his Kickstarter for his last album, Glory Days, he asked us to be a part of the Kickstarter
to do like
video,
a promo,
and sort of talk about how awesome he is and stuff like that, which is true. He's phenomenal. And we've just sort of befriended him like that. Penny Arcade is another big one that sort of started with Desert Bus.
Yeah, that was Desert Bus, and then we did, and obviously we started doing Checkpoint, and getting him with the PATV, and also, I mean, even before we were doing, I guess we were doing Desert Bus before we were doing PATV. We were sort of known by them, and like we were friends with like a bunch of the enforcers at PAX and stuff, and so we would kind of like sneak in and get a table because the enforcers would set it up for us. And then we did the PATV thing, and we got
that's how you got Strip Search,
and then we did Strip Search. It's a much more sort of formal thing, and
Strip Search kind of helped lead to Cards Against Humanity in a sense. I guess the real reason we got hooked up with cards is because of the first year they did tabletop. Actually, was that the first thing we did for them? I feel like we might have done something before that, but I know that it was like, we should film this, and Liz was working with them at that time. Right. And Liz was like, hey, I know some people.
Right,
and she contacted us, and we met Liz through doing Wootstock,
right,
which we were invited to many, many years ago now. And knowing her has been very beneficial to us over the years.
And we got Woodstock because we met Paul and Storm at PAX, and it's sort of all together.
Weird, interconnected stuff. So
yeah, and of course in all the Wizards of the Coast stuff. That started. That was actually the first year that we went to PAX East, I think.
When you got the sample packs?
When it was... No, this was before that. But the first year we went to PAX East, it was just like Graham and myself, and I guess Kathleen as well.
It was the second year we went to PAX East, actually. It was the second time. Because the first year we went to PAX East, I was there because we went to New York
Right. This is the second year. The second year. And we went there, and we just happened to, on the plane... Mike Gills was sitting beside us on the plane, and so we started talking with him. And we both had the same stopover because we both came from Seattle, so we had like lunch in the terminal, and we started talking about doing some project with them.
Well, because that was after we had done It's Magic.
Yeah, that's after we had done It's Magic, doing that. Actually, I remember when we were doing the Friday night stuff, like when we were first pitching the first four episode thing, we also talked to them at PAX East for the stupid reason that we're in Victoria, they're in Seattle, and we both went to Boston in order to talk a meeting, and we talked to I guess it was the brand manager at the time.
It would have been Paul Levy, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, the sort of high, very basically as high up in Wizards of the Coast as we ever got to talk to. Just who wanted to okay the whole process, and we were talking to him, and we had this whole plan that we were going to pitch about. That was the original idea it was going to be more like the like magic crap shots was sort of the idea.
Yeah.
That we were going to pitch to him, and about like 2 minutes into the meeting, we realized that was like the exact opposite of what he wanted. He's like, I'm really big on like character and story things, stuff. And we're like, okay,
crap.
Well, we could pitch the entire opposite of what we were originally thinking and do the Friday nights.
Our strong side.
Well, the Friday night, that was like the other idea we had, and so we're like, okay, well, we'll go the other way.
Yep.
Let's do the Friday nights thing, and obviously that turned out pretty well.
All right, let's keep going here. Mikey, with an exclamation, says, "What is the meaning of the sponge?" No meaning.
You can choose to put whatever meaning towards it you want.
You can store many things in a sponge, most of them liquids.
Look, the honest-to-God story of the sponge was we were sitting around trying to think of something a little extra to put in your envelope with the thank you card, and the idea of the sponge came up, and we all laughed, and then we all sort of dismissed it as a stupid idea, and then we came back to it, and we're like, this is still funny.
Well, no, we were doing it, and Ian...
It was Ian's idea.
Yeah, he was like, I know where you can get sponges really cheap.
Yeah, he's a sponge
and we're
guy.
like, what? It's like,
Not to say that we bought you cheap sponges.
They say, yeah,
they're high quality premium sponges.
But the trick is getting them so that they're like the flat pack. Mm-hmm. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah.
You want sponges? I got a sponge guy.
Yeah, apparently Ian has a sponge guy. He has a place to get the like super thin sponges that are that are custom printed. And we're like, really? And he's like, yeah. And we can do it in this like a small enough run that it makes sense for the deal. And we're like, wow. And then he went away and like got it priced out and came back and we was like, oh, that's actually about right. It's so weird. Yeah. I guess we're giving people sponges.
And I mean, some of us felt awkward about giving sponges, like we don't know each other that well yet. But I mean,
that's fine.
Yeah, I think we're on a terms now where you're sponge worthy. I'm comfortable giving you it's not a marriage proposal, but it's sponge.
And it's important to note actually that almost everybody's your thank you note. The actual letter itself was also sealed with a sponge that we actually used one of our own sponges, wet it down a little bit. To do
I licked a lot of them, but we did use a sponge for some as well.
Yeah.
I licked probably more than I should have. All right.
James also licked a bunch of sponges.
True story. If you could buy one thing, anything to use or play or have while streaming at no cost and cost was no barrier, what would it be? One thing.
To stream.
Or to use while streaming, or cost was no barrier.
An extremely advanced
switcher?
No, I was thinking an extremely complete voice modulation system that had like tons and tons of different presets and things.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. All right.
Human chess, a revolver, and opponents I can't really beat.
Okay, I can't beat that. We're going to move on. What is everyone's... Wow, this is another...
Actually, my serious one for streaming is streaming... various streaming components such that they actually work.
I think just a device that we could plug every single console, PC, whatever into, and have one single HDMI come out of the back into the streaming computer, and you can switch on the fly, and it always works, and there's always never a problem.
Yeah. Or, if anybody wants to make this, a box that has like 10 HDMI ports,
okay,
maybe like 4 component inputs, a DVI or 2, maybe VGA, just as many inputs as you can fit on there.
Okay.
A scaler so that it automatically upsamples the output to whatever you want, in our case 1080, 30 frames a second, so that it's a constant thing, and also such that if you change inputs, it doesn't blank the output, so it always is broadcasting just black if it's not doing it. And then that'd be
great.
That would be pretty much the best thing ever. As far as I know, such a thing doesn't exist. Or if it does exist, it's like,
unbelievably expensive
thing,
in a pro.
But the thing is, like,
I'm sure we could throw that kind of thing together over a weekend with a soldering gun.
Oh yeah.
even when you go up to the pro level stuff, it's still only like a couple of inputs.
Yeah.
Because you have to be like that, and then like a switch on top of that.
All right. Moving on.
Also, voice control.
Oh.
So you go, I want to play Wii.
No, don't do that. That seems bad. There's so much room for trolling in there. I just come in the middle of somebody's stream and be like, I want to play Minecraft, and the switch over to the PC.
You know how hard it is already not to just come into this room and yell, Siri, erase all my appointments.
Yeah. All right. Have any of you tried out the Xbox One controller? If so, opinions on it versus the Xbox 360, or for that matter, PlayStation? I haven't. I have actually not. I don't think I've spent a single second playing a game on an Xbox One yet.
Me neither.
I don't have an Xbox One.
No.
We have one upstairs.
Yeah.
I've held the controller. It seems fine.
I picked it up and gone, oh, that isn't the PS4 controller.
We have one upstairs,
Yeah.
and I played with it a little bit. Graham and I played Sunset Overdrive
Right.
on it and stuff. I'm not a fan.
No? That's
Frankly,
what I've heard.
it feels cheap.
Yeah.
Really?
Like it feels like, I gotta say, like, it feels like a Mad Catz controller. Like, it feels like a third-party controller. Like, there's
beats
just
on Mad Catz.
there's just like a little bit of, there's like the little bit of like slop on like the shoulder buttons.
Huh.
It's like, it feels, maybe it's just like it's I guess it's lighter, and maybe like the springs on the shoulder buttons and stuff aren't that strong.
Right.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's I'm not a fan. I think it's something that you would get used to, but coming from
The 360.
the 360 or the PlayStation,
I'm a big fan of the PlayStation 4 controller, personally.
I think my favorite controller was the original Xbox controller, like the
monster.
first one, like the one that was the size of like
No.
the size of a foot-long
the
sub.
size of an 800-pound bear.
Yeah, no, the Canyon Narrow of controllers. It was
Jesus.
great. You just put it in your lap. But it made me feel like I don't even have that large of hands. But
it's
I could grip it.
too
Yeah.
big.
All right.
The
I kind of miss it, to be honest. If I could get one, I would get one.
it's I like the PS4 controller as well. I don't feel like it's that much better than the PS3 controller,
That's fair. I mean,
But-
it's not really that much better. I mean, the
which isn't that
PlayStation-
much better than the PS2
Two
controller,
controller.
because the DualShock controller is basically the best controller anyone's ever made, and they haven't changed it.
I don't like, to be honest, I think my favorite controller of all time is the Xbox 360 controller.
Really?
Yeah. Just
I actually
size,
I like
grip,
this. I like
everything
the size
about
of the PlayStation one a little better, actually.
that's fair.
I find maybe I have small hands, but I find the size of the 360 controller sometimes, if I've been playing for like a long time, will bug me a little bit.
Cam, very quickly, somebody I think wanted to know what your favorite From Software game is.
It's Bloodborne
It's
right
Bloodborne?
now. Yeah, it's Bloodborne,
All right.
actually. Not as many builds as in Dark Souls, but I feel it's a much more polished game.
All right. Who came up with the sponges and why? That was Ian, because he's crazy. What is everyone's caffeinated
It's-
beverage of choice?
We sort of covered that.
sort of
but,
covered that one already.
and I guess if it's not coffee, I actually drink a lot of tea these days.
Yeah.
I've really gotten. I'm gotten into tea in a big way.
I actually drink a lot of Coke, which is why I'm mega fat.
That's why I stopped drinking Coke, actually.
Yeah.
I've
It's
been
like
very good the
100
last couple
calories,
months about
200
about
calories.
water. Yeah. All right, let's get a couple more questions in here.
You see, there's Mountain Dew now with caffeine in Canada.
Oh, really? Is that a thing now? That's not something I would ever drink.
It's
but-
a special, like, it's like Mountain Dew, whatever, extreme face.
Who's rock, who's scissors, who's paper?
Paper.
Rock.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah, I think that's probably just
I'm
right.
scissors.
Yeah, you're just scissors. What would you guys say was the hardest or most difficult video to produce? We're going to say video. And we're going to say
Video?
for stuff for ourselves. Because obviously the bigger projects obviously easily take the cake there. But I'm thinking like weekly... Let's just narrow this down to
The
weekly
very
sketch.
first one I was in, which was the one with time travel. You were a
Yeah.
time traveler, and I was just this monster.
That's right.
Oh, right, that one.
Yeah, because that was the first one. You weren't in the shots, when I was
Right.
acting, so I
Yeah,
didn't know
that's
where
right.
to look, and I kept looking into the camera,
Yeah.
and my acting was horrible.
We're like, no, stop looking into the
And
camera.
people are like, "Where did you find this guy?"
From the future. It was
Yeah.
a time travel thing.
Logistically, one of the harder ones to do was the two-parter GP Calgary
Oh, right.
episode, because that
Yeah,
actually
definitely.
involved us we actually drove all the way to Calgary and
not,
back.
Not just to film that episode.
Not just
but,
to film,
But yeah.
But I mean,
Especially filming like that with like along the road is
yeah,
takes way more time than you think it's going to.
Yeah, so that was probably pretty high up there. CSI has always sort of stuck out in my head as being one that I remember that being a very long day. Spending a lot of time. We use the dolly a lot, the big dolly and stuff like that. So
more recently, the like Doctors Hate Her was
Doctors
a quite
Hate Her
was
was
a
a
quite
long day.
intensive shoot.
the Who You Gonna Call was actually a pretty
Yeah,
big one up on the roof there at the VEC.
yeah. And those
I think those are probably some of the bigger ones. I mean, at the end of the day, like most of these videos, like it's either like a really, really long day or we shoot it over a couple days.
yeah.
But more often
There's-
than not, it's like
There's
it
been a
takes
couple of
enough for me, so-
Friday nights that we've had to shoot where we're shooting a bit at like YJ,
Yeah.
and it's just been like a 5-minute scene will take like 3 hours to shoot because we'll be like that. There's like some like noise will start up, and then we're like, okay, it's done. Start talking. Something.
This is an interesting question. If you had a camera with one shot on it, so you can take one picture,
Okay.
and could go anywhere with the camera, what one photo would you take?
So would you go? I guess the question. I mean, there's two ways to go with it, right? The question is, would you go for like, try to get like the most amazing shot,
all time,
Ansel
yeah.
Adams, whatever.
Sure.
Or do you try to get a shot in which the subject matter is, a shot of like whatever some celebrity
That's going to garner you a lot of money.
is going to give you a lot of money.
I have the answer for myself. It would be I would go to the International Space Station and take a photo of the Earth.
Yeah.
Take a selfie.
Yeah, exactly. Just Earth behind me, just like click. I think that's probably like that would easily like assuming in this hypothetical situation that I can easily get to without any problems the International Space Station, which obviously
Yeah, if it's like you get teleported there, you do the picture and then you get teleported back.
Done. If it's like
Actually, no.
you can do that, but you have to go through all the astronaut training and all this sort of stuff.
That-
It's just like,
that'll
okay,
work.
maybe not so much.
I get to take more than one. I get to take more than one picture if I have to go through all the training. If I have that much time, I'm going and buying more film. That's what.
yeah,
I do.
that's true.
Yeah.
Actually, no. If it's you teleport back, what I want is a picture of the Earth and the International Space Station. So that such that it's obvious that whoever's taking the picture is flying away from the space station, like towards the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see your own shadow on the International Space Station being like,
Yeah. If the rule is you have to stay on the planet, then I would actually have a hard time saying no to taking a photo that like TMZ would be like, we're going to give you $1 million for this photo. Because
Does it have to be? Do we get to decide? Like, if is it like you could go to a place and take a photo of that, or can you like set up the photo and then take a photo?
Oh,
of
right.
that?
So you can like stage the whole photo.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Cam, thoughts?
I don't know.
This is a really interesting question.
Yeah, no, it is. I've been trying to think of something, and there's a lot of pressure in this question.
Yeah.
Like, get like a photo of like whatever the secret orgies that are happening at the UN
Yeah,
with
exactly.
all the heads of state just all together.
Yeah,
It's got to be worth something.
yeah. Go to the Republican National Congress or whatever and watch them play a game of Who's in My Mouth.
You only get one photo though, so it's got to be a very
Yeah, I guess
it's
like a
gotta
fisheye lens.
It's got to
right?
tell a whole picture. It's got to tell a story.
Oh. I don't know. I think I would be tempted to, like, the International Space Station one sounds really good, but I think only if I got to do all the astronaut training.
That's fair. I
Around
mean,
it, too.
look. If they came to me and said you can go to the International Space Station if you can train and make that happen, I would say
Yeah.
obviously, I wouldn't pass up that opportunity.
Which I would hope that they do. I don't. If they say you can go to the International Space Station, but you don't have to do any training at all,
Yeah.
I would be highly concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a
It's
bit
like,
of a
am I
problem.
going there as a medical cadaver?
Yeah.
Like that
We-
seems like a
you don't have
Twilight
to.
Zone
You don't
kind
have
of
to.
caliber.
You don't have to train for the coming back part at all. Actually,
Yeah, no,
It's-
don't even worry about that.
Yeah.
How much would you say you weigh right now? What about if you were dried?
All right, let's get a couple more in
it's
here.
It's an interesting one. I like that.
All right, I love the dystopian podcast, Paul.
Oh,
if
thank
the
you.
LRR crew were in a dystopian future, who would be the evil overlord? I mean, probably you.
Probably me.
The trustworthy one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd be the evil genius. You'd be like the Lex Luthor of.
I feel like. See,
You're not like crazy.
I mean, I'm not
you're
saying
crazy.
that's not necessarily true.
yeah.
Huh.
I feel like that. I mean, in the dystopian future thing, sure, I could be evil or whatever. I don't feel like I have the organizational capabilities
All right. Yeah.
to keep it going.
Okay. That you just
You know
give
what I
up and
mean?
Just be like, ugh, this is.
Or I'd be
work.
evil, but there's a difference between like being an evil guy and like setting up a whole evil
Network.
society.
Yeah.
Or setting up a whole dystopian society that crushes people's dreams.
Hopes and dreams.
Like that takes a lot of like
Too much
planning.
work.
I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
even kill people in video games, right? Like the NPCs in video games, I have a hard time.
Right.
Yeah.
I would probably I feel like I would be a high up cog in the machine,
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
but I would still I don't know. I despite it, being horrible dystopia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it would be good if I was in charge, because then it would rapidly stop becoming the horrible dystopia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I guess it would be whatever. There's always the what happens after the horrible dystopia,
Yeah.
which is usually also bad, because it's like
Yeah, it's like
we've had a revolution and now everything is crappy, but we're free.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I forget who said it, but somebody was saying like, in fiction you have the Hunger Games, in the real world you have Syria, right?
Yeah.
But
That's true.
no, I'd like to think I would be like somewhere in the middle of the bureaucracy of the banality of evil.
All right.
Right, like in the Dunder
Hunger
Mifflin of-
Games, I would definitely be the producer guy for the Hunger Games, though.
Oh, the guy
Okay.
with the sideburns.
The guy with the guy in the first Hunger Games,
Yeah.
that he's got the crazy
Oh yeah.
beard.
Yeah.
But just that it's like let's have a fireball over there.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, I didn't even know we could do that.
Yeah.
What else
Yeah.
can we do?
Yeah. We just have 500 ducks fall on his head right now.
Yeah.
Let's just do that.
We can do that.
It's like, what?
Let's do that.
It's like, what? Why? It'll make awesome television. That's what we're doing
We're
here,
trying
right?
to tell a story.
Jeez. All right, we have one more question.
Okay.
The question is, what was the first video game you fell in love with, and do you still love it?
Mine was Final Fantasy on the Nintendo.
Okay.
Original Final Fantasy?
Yes, original Final
OG
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy.
And no.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it got transferred to iOS 4 years ago, and I bought it, and I was really excited, and I was like, this has not aged well.
All right, Paul.
First one I fell in love with. That would have to be, in the previous podcast I was talking about how my first computer was a Mac Plus. So it would have to be on there. I'm thinking Dark Castle.
Ooh.
Ooh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is that was a sweet game. It's sort of a precursor to dual stick shooters, I guess. But you were this little guy. You run around, and you controlled your arm with your mouse, and you threw rocks at people.
Yeah.
And it was brutally hard.
Yeah.
And except and if you fell down a pit, instead of dying, you would go to this dungeon level, and then you'd have to climb all your way back up through the dungeon, and then to get back to where you were.
Oh.
And I still remember the sound effects from that game, where you go yeah,
Yeah.
as you threw rocks.
Actually, the best part about it was in the dungeon area, you needed a key to the door to get out, and the key would be in a there's a trap thing, and there's a bunch of prisoners who are like chained up to the wall. There's 3 prisoners chained up to the wall, and there's a guy like whipping them. He's like torturing them, and so you have to kill the guy torturing them.
Okay.
And then you go over, and there's 3 switches. There's 2 switches. One switch gives you the key, and one switch drops a big weight on your head, and you die.
Okay.
And so you go by one switch, and all the prisoners go. They all shake their heads, and then you go over the other switch.
And they're like, yeah.
You do it.
That's pretty awesome. Mine's kind of a sellout. It's because I think a lot of people would say it, but it's true, which is Chrono Trigger.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
It was the first game that I played that I was like, wow, this is insane and epic and amazing. And I played with some friends as well, so it was sort of this shared experience, but easily the first game I fell in love with. I will throw a bonus question on top. What's the last game you fell in love with?
Bloodborne.
Probably. I was actually thinking one of the other games that I fell in love with, on old school stuff was the original Prince of Persia.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's definitely up there for me too, actually.
And then the more modern Prince of Persia games, not the reboot one, or not the whatever how many reboots it's had now, but like the Prince of Persia and the Warrior Within and the Two Thrones, I guess it's called. I really liked those games. I really got into those.
Sweet.
Which was those were almost sort of a gateway into like the Assassin's Creed games, which I guess in terms of time spent, playing the game. I mean, we make fun of Cam because he's always like, "Hey, can I play some Bloodborne? I want to play some Bloodborne." But I've played like a ridiculously large amount of time of Assassin's Creed games, and it usually takes me quite I don't play them like densely. Like I'll play, I'll sort of have one on the go,
right,
do it. But they're at the point now, because their schedule is such that I could almost be like playing an Assassin's Creed game at all time.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like I just beat Rogue. But of course, Rogue and Unity came out at the same time, so it's like I guess I could play Unity, but I don't have a PS4 right now.
Okay, neither does Cam. That doesn't stop him.
Yeah, that's true. We have Unity here at the office.
It's true.
Oh, that reminds me. Can I come in tomorrow?
We're filming tomorrow.
Oh, right.
It's Saturday.
Saturday. I meant Sunday.
Yes, probably.
Hooray!
Oh, dear.
Yes, you can come in tomorrow, but you can't. But you can come in on Sunday.
And for you, this was like a couple weeks ago, so don't worry about it.
No,
yeah.
The last game that I absolutely fell in love with was Monument Valley.
Really?
Oh. Yeah.
I gotta try that.
I have to play it too.
It is incredible. It's on sale right now. Again,
I think I
don't
own
know
it,
if it's going to be on sale by the time you watch this, but yeah, go get it. It's like $2 right now.
It's like it's pretty short too.
It took me a couple hours to beat it. But I just sat down and I played it and I loved it and I want, and then they've released an expansion since, which was also fantastic. So
cool.
Definitely play it. It's an iPad game.
Right.
You can get it on your phone, and on the 6 it might actually be playable, but I wouldn't play it on anything smaller than that. So definitely on your iPad.
Cool.
It's incredible. So I would watch that. All right, that's gonna do it. That's all the questions. It was fun to revisit the old school podcast ways.
I was actually thinking, like, specifically in terms of with the phrasing "fall in love with." Man, on the stream, I've been playing Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Oh, that game is adorable.
That is like so ridiculously, like it is ridiculously adorable.
Yeah.
And really fun.
Yeah,
like I am totally.
I've been watching.
I am totally getting into it.
Yeah,
cool.
That's sweet. All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. It is what makes this podcast and others like it possible, and everything else that we do, the crap shots and the podcasts and streamings and everything, all blah, blah. It's down here. It's right by
opposite.
me. Woo!
Yes.
Look, it's right there. Look at it. I'm tickling it. Do it. Head there right now.
Don't
Check it out.
tickle our Patreon.
I will tickle the Patreon.
Give Patreon plugs.
Get Patreon. So thank you to all of you guys. You're fantastic and we love you. And we will see you next week for a new episode of the LRRcast.
Bye.
Bye.